We're very excited to have in the studio and also in Jerusalem an incredible woman that I met a couple of months ago when I was invited by the British Jewish community to come and speak at a rally against the UN women for completely ignoring the plight of the sexual harassment and mass rapes that happened on October 7th. And the first speaker on that rally was Reverend Hayley Ace. And since then, we've become great friends. And we're so lucky to have her on our show, The Quad. Hayley, welcome to Jerusalem and welcome on our show.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. This is my first time in Israel.
Wow.
And it's just been mind-blowing. Honestly, I wish I was staying longer.
Well, you have to come back with your 6 children.
Yes, I will. I will. And I'll bring my husband as well.
So, Hayley, you've been, really vocal about supporting Israel. You have your own evangelical community in the UK. I wasn't even aware that there were so many evangelical communities in the UK. I lived there for a few years, and I was never kind of exposed to that. We know about our evangelical friends in the US. How is it being a reverend of an evangelical church and being pro-Israel? How do people react to your advocacy?
Well, I think that the benefit that we have, my husband and I, he's also a reverend. It's kind of like this reverend couple.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We have our own congregation, first and foremost. So we run a church. We're the senior pastors of a congregation in North London. And they are extremely pro-Israel. We pray for Israel every single week. We pray for the IDF. We pray for victory over the success of Israel. We work for protection.
Why? Where does it come from to be this pro-Israel in your community?
We consider it a fundamental of Christianity. Everything we have, everything that the Christian faith is built on is Judaism. Everything. I don't think you can actually be a Christian without loving Israel and loving the Jewish people. We feel like we're brothers and sisters or cousins, like you're our family.
Yeah.
This is how it feels. And to see people not support Israel is just very bizarre. And there's no other country that you hear them say, oh, I'm pro-New Zealand or I'm pro. What do you mean? It's like Israel's in a wonderful country, a democratic nation. And so from a humanity point of view, it's just fundamental basic. But then from a biblical point of view, we know the promises that God has given Israel, the Jewish people. We feel very grateful that everything that we have, the scriptures, the patriarchs, all of the everything.
Hayley, I find your organization very interesting because you, I think, are the only Christian that I know that exposes the roots of anti-Semitism in Christianity. How does your community congregation respond when you talk about, listen, anti-Semitism is rooted in Christianity. This is what happened with Crusaders. This is the history. What's the response, and how do you teach them that gracefully and bring them over to being pro-Israel?
The biggest thing is that Christians do not know, and they are shocked when we lay it out and we take them on a journey for 1,600 years from the 1st century, and then as it was getting worse, and just the forced conversions, the Crusades, but then even just in the Second World War, most Christians don't realize that 70% of Nazi Germany was evangelical Christian. They were Lutheran. 30% were Catholic. So it's generally a Christian nation. And Christians don't realize that because, we like to think we love people, we love God, we want to do good, we stand for peace. And then when they understand that actually we have not only let the Jewish people down in terms of our support, we've also actively been part of it. Our spiritual heritage in that side of things is appalling. It's so awful. We often have people, when we give our message, getting on their knees and repenting. Wow. And crying and saying, we never knew, this is terrible. I cannot believe we've done this to the Jewish people. Or our ancestors, our spiritual ancestors. They're very shocked. They don't realize it. They do not realize.
And Hayley, you're also the founder of Christians Against Antisemitism, right?
Christian Action
Against Antisemitism. Yeah. So what do you do there in this organization?
So in a nutshell, we educate and we unite and we mobilize. So we educate people about the history of anti-Semitism in the church, and we take them on a whole journey. It's quite wonderful because when people's eyes open, they can see actually how much bias there is in the world against Israel, and really what a spiritual thing it is, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense how anti-Israel the media is, how much bias there is against Israel, despite the numerous evidence. Even this latest atrocity, there is so much evidence. Hamas filmed themselves doing it. It's overwhelming.
And they still deny.
And they still deny it happens. It's like Holocaust denial in real time.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. So the way, I think, being a reverend, I see it as a spiritual. It's spiritual because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. So there has to be something
There has to be.
bigger going on.
Yeah. Because do you put it down to a jealousy that, the Jewish people have been the most oppressed people on this planet Earth. In every generation, they are subject to genocide, and the irony
is it in every generation they rise up against us.
That's right.
Persecution. Yes.
That's right. Yet they are the people that should be the biggest victims. Yet they are the people that are the overcomers. They press into God, their faith. There is such resilience and strength. I mean, look at what has been built in the reestablishment of Israel in 75 years or 80 years. It's incredible. This country is amazing. And there is such grace. And one thing that I just was so blown away by, we went to the Nova car park, and it was such a...
You saw the cars, abandoned cars.
Yeah, we saw there where there's photographs on it's like a memorial area.
Yeah.
And it was very sort of a very sacred place, and people went to pay their respects and just to remember. And they started singing, and they were in this circle, and it wasn't just Jewish people there. There was many different people, and they were singing. And I was observing, because I didn't know if I could come in, because I have been heavy. I haven't slept properly since October the 7th. It's this heaviness and oppression and sadness and anger at the apathy and the, or even not the apathy, but the actual attack on the Jewish people and Israel. It's been so deeply painful to watch.
Yeah, none of us have slept for 3 months.
Yeah. I can't even believe it. But as they were singing, I just kind of like moseyed in, and they made space for me. And I watched them keep on doing that, and the circle got bigger and bigger. And I thought that is a representation of what Israel does. They make room for people. They share their city. They share their traditions. They've shared their Torah with us, the Tanakh. It's so beautiful. So we should we should stand with you anyway, the Jewish people, but it just blew me away.
Hayley, do you get much pushback? Do you get people saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You are supporting, all the things that we get called genocidal.
Yeah.
What is the negative impact of your work?
We do get that. I mean, we get called genocide supporters. The thing is no matter what people say, just because they shout it and they repeat it doesn't make it true.
Of course.
And just because lots of people are saying it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's true. Just because they're shouting it and saying it does not make it true. And so we just stay with the truth. We stay with the biblical foundation of the truth of what Israel is. The Jewish people are a blessing to the nations, and they are punching well above their weight in terms of Nobel Peace Prizes, startup companies. What they've given to the world, we couldn't do without.
Yeah.
We couldn't do without. And we don't actually care.
No.
It's fine, let them come. But our stance is, your God is our God, your people are our people, and we stand with you. And if they come for the Jewish people, they have to go through us first, which is why I wear the Star of David, and why many in my husband and I both wear it, our children, our family, our church. And it's an act of solidarity that we don't just want to stand shoulder to shoulder, we want to stand in front of to say, you have to pass through us. And this is what we want Christians all around the world to do.
That's incredible. Hayley, you also come from the Maori tribe in New Zealand who is standing with Israel. Can you give us some insight of why this tribe, specifically in New Zealand, feels, passionate about standing with Israel, being pro-Israel?
First of all, I'm so proud of my people. I'm so proud of my people for being morally clear in this, because it's easy to get tricked. Yeah.
A lot of people get tricked into thinking that, that we're not the indigenous people of this region.
Yeah.
But yet the Maoris are very clear about, they've really got moral clarity
They have.
on this.
They have. My mum always said, Maoris are the indigenous people of New Zealand, like the Aborigines are the indigenous people of Australia, and it's the same for the Jewish people in Israel. That's where they came from. This is where they have always been. There's always been Jews in Israel.
Always.
Always.
Thousands and thousands of
That's right.
Yes.
And as a tribal person, I think every tribal person would be able to attest to this, that there is a huge connection between a tribal person and the land.
Yes.
Like you feel it. I feel it as soon as I feel the air on my face, and I take my shoes off and I walk. I feel this oneness, and it must be even more for the Jewish people, because this is ordained by God. This is an ancient land. These are God's chosen people, and I feel like any indigenous person can see this.
Well, I'm not sure it's so clear, but you've made it crystal clear, and we thank you for the upbringing that your mother gave you and for your advocacy. Look, I wish Jews felt as clear in their conviction as you feel in terms of the country and what happens is October 7th. And, we are privileged to have people like you as our allies standing in front with the haters and confronting them. So God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Reverend Hayley Ace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.